No. Okay, so BDD was introduced by Dan North with the scope of testing behavior. It is basically for acceptance testing, and BDD is uses Gherkin language. Where Gherkin language is a business-oriented language which uses simple English sentences, human-readable sentences that can be understood by anyone involved in the project team. And then the communication, since it uses this Gherkin language, communication between technical and non-technical persons are improved a lot is improved a lot, and BD is implemented using user stories and scenarios. Where user stories are feature of the application, and scenarios is the use cases or the test cases of the application. So BDD versus test-driven development. BDD is an evolution of TDD. Where actually, both BDD and TDD follow a simple iterative process. That is, first write your tests, and then run the tests and ensure that the tests fail. Next, write the code for a test, and then rerun the test and now ensure that test succeeds. And then finally, refactor the code. So this is an iterative process followed both by BDD and TDD. The only difference between them is how the tests are written, the implementation of the tests. So as you can see in TDD, the tests are developer oriented, which since the TDD focuses on implementation also, this is only on behavior. Change. Therefore, it eliminates the dependency of test implementation. And the best example for this is sorting algorithm. So let's see that. Okay, as you can see, there are many sorting algorithms for sorting numbers in numerical order, like bubble sort, selection sort, quick and merge sort, and many more. So in TDD, you have to write individual tests for all these algorithms because the implementation is different. So you have to ensure that the numbers are sorted in that particular algorithm for each test. So, but in BDD, for all these algorithms, there is only one single test. That is, given a list of numbers, when I sort the list, then list will be in numerical order. So this is just one. You can see here, just one simple behavior for all these algorithms. And then BDD is about writing features and scenarios. So let's see how to write a feature in BDD. You have to make use of all these spaces in order to, as an I need to, it just explains the two-line explanation of your feature of your application. So the first one, A is the benefit or the business value for your feature. And the second one is the role of the person who is involved in testing this feature. And the third one, C, is the feature or is actual feature. Most of the times, this first and second line is first and the third line is almost similar. It just describes the feature. That's it. So an example for a feature is, in order to use a portal card functions, as a portal user, I need to be able to access the card page. So this is a simple scenario. As you can see, this can be understood by anyone by just reading the scenario here. I mean feature here. And next, writing the scenario. So scenario is just a test case for your feature. So you have to make use of these three words, given, when, and then, separated by and in between. So given is the initial context, it is where you are present in the current test scenario. And then when is the number of events, it can be any number of events which you perform to make this test succeed or fail. Then is the actual result of the scenario or test case. So an example scenario for the previous feature is, given I'm on cards ad, assuming that there's a page called cards ad in the website, and when I fill in the following, it's card number and balance in a form, and I press submit, then I should see card has been successfully added. So this is how BDD scenario or tests are written, which can be seen. There's no focus on implementation. It's just a requirement. That's it. So okay, now feature content. Now there has to be a way for BDD tool for any BDD tool to inspect the steps. Each of the steps are by inspecting the steps, and then they have to determine how to run this test or actually. So that's why there's a feature context file. This file is a simple file which contains all the step definitions. It uses annotations, which converts the scenario steps into functions. So you can see here this given, when, and are used as annotations. Using these annotations, it converts them to individual functions, maps them to individual functions, and stores them in the feature context file. I just show this feature context file later in the demo. And then this Behat is the open source PHP framework which makes this BDD possible. So it's inspired by Ruby's Cucumber project, which is the same as this thing we have. And then it's simple to install and use. You just have to add these packages in Composer and update the Composer and enable the extensions in the Behat panel. I'll show you the Behat panel later in the demo. Now let's go to these extensions. So actually, it's not necessary for you to add the last three packages. It's just enough for only Behat plus Behat is enough. Only that package is enough. But since we have Symfony 2 extension, it integrates the Symfony 2 features and provides you a powerful way to write automated tests in Behat. Next one is Mink extension. Mink extension is used for web acceptance testing. If you want to test your website-related features, you need to have a browser. So there are two types of browser, like headless browser emulator and browser controller. The advantages of the first one is it doesn't. I mean, it's very fast, but it doesn't support JavaScript or Ajax. The second type of the emulator, the browser controller, it supports Ajax, but it's relatively much slower. So you have to choose either of these two, depending on your project type. That's where this Mink comes, where Mink provides various drivers through which it gives you a convenient way and a powerful way to have a complete control of your browser. And you can do any actions related to the browser, like manipulating pages, interacting between pages, like that. So now that's why we use Mink extension for web acceptance testing. And the second one is browser, and the last one is Mink browser kit driver. This extension uses the existing Symfony's browser kit emulator, and that's why it's just a wrapper here. So next go to initial. Okay, once you have installed and set up the VR, next one is to initialize the next step is to create the features directory to store all the features. So when you run this command bin Bihar init with the bundle name, the Bihar tool creates the features directory inside the bundle. So and then you'll almost get the same output in the terminal as well. And it also creates a feature context file where all your feature related code will be here. As I said, feature related code is nothing but it tells how to run the tests by inspecting the scenarios. And since we have installed the Symfony extension, we can give this bundle name here. If you have not installed Symfony extension, you can just give the initial path bin Bihar and init in that command line. And when you do so, Bihar creates the features directory inside app directory. But this is not useful for if you have many bundles in your application. You like to organize, you like to document the test cases in bundle wise. So it's better to use this bundle Symfony bundle extension. So finally, let's do a small demo. Right? Okay, let me show you the Bihar YAML file. So as you can see here, it's a simple file. I've just used some of the available extensions in Bihar. You can take a look at the complete options in the Bihar documentation. As you can see, I have two test suites here. One is for admin portal, and another is for the API portal. The first one is the API admin bundle, and the second one is the main bundle, which is the API bundle. And then you can have any number of test suites for different bundles. So and one more, this is a context file. It's not necessary for you to specify the context file here, but if you want to inject some parameters in the context, then this is how you do. And then the extensions. Here is the place where you enable all the extensions. And show command. This is used for debugging during web acceptance testing. At any point during running of the scenario, if you want to see the response in the browser, this command you can configure the browser here. So that time Mink will take a screenshot of the browser and will show you this in the browser. And the base URL is the website URL, and sessions the default sequence. So here's a simple file. So now let's go to the API bundle first and see the test. And you can see here in my main bundle, the features directory is created, and inside the context, there is a feature context file, and the actual feature file. So here, this is my simple feature I've described in two to three lines. Test the card in order to test the card APIs. Now, in order to perform the operations on card, I just want to test all the RESTful APIs of the cards. So I just have two APIs, simple APIs here at deposit and balance API. Deposit is nothing but incrementing the balance on the card, and balance is get the balance on the card. So this is a simple scenario using all these annotations given, separated by any number of hands, and then when, and then the done. That's it. Then is the event which you will do. Yeah. So all these steps should be mapped appropriately to the individual functions. So that's why you do it in feature context file. The feature context file here have all the my custom instance fields and all. You can do anything here. and I have other operations here. And so here you can see the first annotation given. I want to make a new request. The argument one is a card deposit request value, which is passed in the scenario. And I just check here in allowed operations and throw an exception if it is not allowed. And the same thing for the second one, given that it's argument one is argument two. I mean, this is the second, all these things, all the three steps here now is mapped to this function. So yeah, you just perform some, you just handle how the step should be executed in this function. And the same thing for I request. I request is basically it actually calls the API. So it makes the API call here and it stores the response in a instance field. So we actually for each scenario in this feature, we have creates an instance of feature context file. So there's a separate feature context instance for each of the scenario. And then there are here all these three functions, functions just checks whether the response is correct or not. It's just simple now. You can just customize this however you want to check the response. So now let's run this deposit scenario. So we just have to do simple bin behavior, and by default, if you don't give any arguments, the behavior will take all, it will run all the scenarios in all the test suits. You know, I mean, you can do that, but right now we just focus on one scenario, and there are many arguments. I can show you some of these things. You can see here there are many arguments here, right from suit, describing the suit, test suit here, and then the tags, and there are many which you can make use of it. You can even check what are the step definitions available. So let me see what okay, first let me give the suit as API. I'll just concentrate on API suit. I'll just see my definitions, step definitions available. So again, you can see here all these step definitions which are defined in the feature context file. You can just show here. Now let's specify the tags. Tags is where you define in the feature file you define this a tag. This is the tag. You can just separate each of the scenarios with this tag. So let's give a deposit. Let's see what the tags are. So in the database I have these cards. I have all the following cards, and let's see the balance is 72.3 here for this card. We just increment the balance to 10. First, let us give some invalid URI here and see what happens. So here I just give the tag as deposit. We can actually give any number of tags separated by commas here. So we can run all the scenarios accordingly. So we run here. You can see the response is not 200, the actual is 400 here, as the URI is not present. Now just run this again. There you go. All the steps are passed and the scenario is passed. And let's see the balance of this card here. As you can see, this has 72.3, it should be 82.3 now. You can see it's implemented with balance. So it has run the test successfully. And next again, you can run both of these together, balance and deposit together. So you can run both the tests together and both the tests is passed. Make any number and change this to something which doesn't exist and click now. You can see the first is passed and the second is here the exception has occurred and we can skip the remaining steps here. So this is about the API bundle. Now let's go to admin portal where we use web acceptance testing and it uses milk context for that. So let's see the cards feature here, available cards feature. Now you can see this is my test card functions in portal. In order to use the portal card functions as a portal user, I need to be able to access the card page. This is a similar example in the presentation slide. So I have two operations here, add and edit. Add is adding a new card with a particular balance, and then edit is edit the existing card with the balance. Now you can see here, given when I'm on cards and when I fill in the following and I press submit, all these are not my step definitions. It's all provided by link. If you can see in the feature context file, I don't have any of those step implementations or functions. That's because when you extend link context, link automatically provides all those functions, all those steps which you can make use of. Okay, let's see that here. I can show you the steps. Okay, just specify the two that are happening. Very good. You can see here the various steps which is provided by link. You can use anything, and you can also see there is an option here step called the then show last response. That's what I was talking about. That show command in the behavior triangle. If you open if you use the step definition, if you're running the scenario, it will automatically open the browser and show you the response on that particular step. So let's okay, yeah, so there's a simple scenario. Add scenario is like as I said, just adding a new card with a balance. Now just run this. Uh, Now I'm using this card number here. Let's see the portal here actually. I use my portal here, and you can see all the available cards. And you can see this card number is already present here. When I try to run this test, it should fail now because it already exists. As you can see, there's a error here. The card has not the card has successfully added message was not seen because it is already found. Let's see that here. Actually. See, there you get the error. So I say the test is accordingly failed properly. Now let's change this to something else. And see if it executes successfully. And there you go, it has executed successfully. And let's see the portal. And there is a new card which balance 12.3 has been added here. Now let's try to edit this card. And then I have this when we show last response. So ideally when we have runs this show last response, if you open the browser and show the appropriate page after, then after we click after you click the edit thing, and if you see here and I edit the card number, this is actually a custom step. This is not provided by main context, and that's why I have to implement this in this feature context file. I edit and the card number. Here you can see the card number I received here as an argument, and then I use the various functions in main context like find CSS, find the card number in the table row containing the card number, and if it is found, if it's not found, throw an exception, otherwise edit the link of that particular row. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll just change this balance from 12.3 to 10. It will take some time to open the browser and show you the response. And you can see it has shown the response of the particular step here. The card number and the balance 12.3. Now when we close this, the test will be resumed here, and you can see the balance has been changed to 10 successfully. Now let's see the refresh here, and you can see the balance is changed to 10 successfully. So this is how you run the test. Ideally you don't want to do it manually. You just have to make this automated. You do some cron job or something. That's how you run this BDD test. That's it. Any questions?
But let's say we try to recover or we create something, we will set it up in a server or something like that. So if I have to check for different scenarios, I need to keep changing that file where there are different pointers.
Like in the API you're talking about, right?
These feature files.
Okay, this is my card API feature. Yeah.
So now I have to test with respect to something else. I have to keep changing here.
Yeah, you just have to change this feature file. If you can see here, all these scenarios here are same. Only the thing is, argument differs here. Within the quotation marks, argument differs. So all the scenarios will be the same. You can even separate by tags and many filters available. So you can just run some of the things, some of the scenarios or entire thing, or even separate it by suits, test suits. So it's up to you how do you run the test.
Then we first deposit the given that number, right? Like 100 or something.
Yeah,
Okay. Now I want one more scenario where I give
some of the
invalid
card.
things, A, B,
Yeah.
C or something. So even that thing could have been both the things whenever I run it for deposit, I want both the things to test.
Yes, you
Like
can do
it
that.
is taking the valid success one also should be tested and invalid. So I can have both the things returned for the same one.
Yes, yes. You just have to just create another scenario for that.
Okay.
And call it as process through. Now you just want to change the card number or something, right? And you just want to run both these things. That's what it is. Yeah. So you just have to change what is there and within the quotation. These are called the arguments. So when you change, you can just when you change these arguments, any number of scenarios can be run through the same feature context file. You can see the first one is successfully run. The second one is invalid card number. So we get the invalid card number message. You just have to change this, change the values in these quotation marks arguments. That's it. Otherwise, everything will be same for this feature context file. Okay. In this, you just have to define your the annotation files here, and all these files will be mapped to all these scenarios appropriately.
One pack and I will
Yes. No, that's just separated for each scenario. And